But I shall come to grief, for I don't know anything about your old dances." "Yes, you do. I've taught you the steps a dozen times. I'm going to begin with a redowa, because the girls like it, and it's better fun than square dances. Now put on your gloves and go ask Polly like a gentleman." "Oh, thunder!" muttered Tom, and having split the detested gloves and dragging them on, he nerved himself for the effort, walked up to Polly, made a stiff bow, stuck out his elbow, and said solemnly, "May I have the pleasure, Miss Milton?" He did it as much like the big fellows as he could, and expected that Polly would be impressed, but she wasn't a bit, for after a surprised look she laughed in his face and took him by the hand, saying heartily, "Of course you may, but don't be a goose, Tommy." "Well, Fan told me to be elegant, so I tried to," whispered Tom, adding as he clutched his partner with a somewhat desperate air, "Hold on tight and we'll get through somehow." The music struck up, and away they went, Tom hopping one way and Polly the other in a most ungraceful manner. "Keep time to the music," gasped Polly. "Can't, never could," returned Tom. "Keep step with me then, and don't tread on my toes," pleaded Polly. "Never mind, keep bobbing and we'll come right by and by," muttered Tom, giving his unfortunate partner a sudden whisk which nearly landed both on the floor. But they did not get right by and by, for Tom, in his frantic efforts to do his duty, nearly annihilated poor Polly. He tramped, he bobbed, he skated, he twirled her to the right, dragged her to the left, backed her up against people and furniture, trod on her feet, rumpled her dress, and made a spectacle of himself generally. Polly was much disturbed, but as everyone else was flying about also, she bore it as long as she could, knowing that Tom had made a martyr of himself, and feeling grateful to him for the sacrifice. "Oh, do stop now, this is dreadful," cried Polly breathlessly, after a few wild turns. "Isn't it?" said Tom, wiping his red face with such an air of intense relief that Polly had not the heart to scold him, but said, "Thank you," and dropped into a chair exhausted. "I know I've made a guy of myself, but Fan insisted on it, for fear you'd be offended if I didn't go the first dance with you," said Tom remorsefully, watching Polly as she settled the bow of her crushed sash, which Tom had used as a sort of handle by which to turn and twist her. "I can do the Lancers tip-top, but you won't ever want to dance with me any more," he added, as he began to fan her so violently that her hair flew about as if in a gale of wind. "Yes, I will. I'd like to, and you shall put your name down here on the sticks of my fan. That's the way, Trix says, when you don't have a ball book." Looking much gratified, Tom produced the stump of a lead pencil, and wrote his name with a flourish, saying as he gave it back, "Now I'm going to get Sherry, or some of the fellows that do the redowa well, so you can have a real good go before the music stops." Off went Tom, but before he could catch any eligible partner, Polly was provided with the best dancer in the room. Mr. Sidney had seen and heard the whole thing, and though he had laughed quietly, he liked honest Tom and good-natured Polly all the better for their simplicity. Polly's foot was keeping time to the lively music, and her eyes were fixed wistfully on the smoothly gliding couples before her, when Mr. Sidney came to her, saying, in the pleasant yet respectful way she liked so much, "Miss Polly, can you give me a turn?" "Oh, yes, I'm dying for another," and Polly jumped up, with both hands out, and such a grateful face that Mr. Sidney resolved she should have as many turns as she liked. This time all went well, and Tom, returning from an unsuccessful search, was amazed to behold Polly circling gracefully about the room, guided by a most accomplished partner. "Ah, that's something like," he thought, as he watched the bronze boots retreating and advancing in perfect time to the music. "Don't see how Sidney does the steering so well, but it must be fun, and by Jupiter, I'll learn it," added Shaw Jr., with an emphatic gesture, which burst the last button off his gloves. Polly enjoyed herself till the music stopped, and before she had time to thank Mr. Sidney as warmly as she wished, Tom came up to say with his most lordly air, "You dance splendidly, Polly. Now you just show me any one you like the looks of, and I'll get him for you, no matter who he is." "I don't want any of the gentlemen. They're so stiff and don't care to dance with me, but I like those boys over there, and I'll dance with any of them if they are willing," said Polly after a survey. "I'll trot out the whole lot." And Tom gladly brought up his friends, who all admired Polly immensely, and were proud to be chosen instead of the big fellows. There was no sitting still for Polly after that, for the lads kept her going at a great pace, and she was so happy she never saw or suspected how many little maneuvers, heart-burnings, displays of vanity, affection, and nonsense were going on all round her. She loved dancing, and entered into the gaiety of the scene with a heartiness that was pleasant to see. Her eyes shone, her face glowed, her lips smiled, and the brown curls waved in the air as she danced, with a heart as light as her feet. "Are you enjoying yourself, Polly?" asked Mr. Shaw, who looked in now and then to report to Grandma that all was going well. "Oh, such a splendid time!" cried Polly, with an enthusiastic little gesture, as she chassed into the corner where he stood. "She is a regular belle among the boys," said Fanny, as she promenaded by. "They are so kind in asking me, and I'm not afraid of them," explained Polly, prancing, simply because she couldn't keep still. "So you are afraid of the young gentleman, hey?" And Mr. Shaw held her by one curl. "All but Mr. Sidney. He doesn't put on airs and talk nonsense, and oh, he does dance like an angel, as Trix says." "Papa, I wish you'd come and waltz with me. Fan told me not to go near her 'cause my wed dress makes her pink one look ugly, and Tom won't, and I want to dreadfully." "I've forgotten how, Maudie. Ask Polly. She'll spin you round like a teetotum." "Mr. Sidney's name is down for that," answered Polly, looking at her fan with a pretty little air of importance. "But I guess he wouldn't mind my taking poor Maud instead. She hasn't danced hardly any, and I've had more than my share. Would it be very improper to change my mind?" And Polly looked up at her tall partner with an eye which plainly showed that the change was a sacrifice. "Not a bit. Give the little dear a good waltz, and we will look on," answered Mr. Sidney with a nod and smile. "That is a refreshing little piece of nature," said Mr. Shaw, as Polly and Maud whirled away. "She will make a charming little woman if she isn't spoilt." "No danger of that. She has got a sensible mother." "I thought so." And Sidney sighed, for he had lately lost his own good mother. When supper was announced, Polly happened to be talking, or trying to talk, to one of the poky gentlemen whom Fan had introduced. He took Miss Milton down, of course, put her in a corner, and having served her to a dab of ice and one macaroon, he devoted himself to his own supper with such interest that Polly would have fared badly if Tom had not come and rescued her. "I've been looking everywhere for you. Come with me and don't sit starving here," said Tom, with a scornful look from her empty plate to that of her recreant escort, which was piled with good things. Following her guide, Polly was taken to the big china closet, opening from the dining room to the kitchen, and here she found a jovial little party feasting at ease. Maud and her bosom friend Grace were seated on tin cake boxes, Sherry and Spider adorned the refrigerator, while Tom and Rumple foraged for the party. "Here's fun," said Polly, as she was received with a clash of spoons and a waving of napkins. "You just perch on that cracker keg, and I'll see that you get enough," said Tom, putting a dumbwaiter before her, and issuing his orders with a fine air of authority. "We are a band of robbers in our cave, and I'm the captain, and we pitch into the folks passing by, and go out and bring home plunder. Now, Rumple, you go and carry off a basket of cake, and I'll watch here till Katy comes by with a fresh lot of oysters. Polly must have some. Sherry, cut into the kitchen and bring a cup of coffee. Spider, scrape up the salad and poke the dish through the slide for more. Eat away, Polly, and my men will be back with supplies in a jiffy." Such fun as they had in that closet, such daring robberies of jelly pots and cake boxes, such successful raids into the dining room and kitchen, such base assaults on poor Katy and the colored waiter who did his best, but was helpless in the hands of the robber horde. A very harmless little revel, for no wine was allowed, and the gallant band were so busy skirmishing to supply the ladies that they had not time to eat too much. No one missed them, and when they emerged the feast was over, except for a few voracious young gentlemen who still lingered among the ruins. "That's the way they always do, poke the girls in corners, give 'em just one taste of something, and then go and stuff like pigs," whispered